Hey, greetings everybody. Que pasa? I'm back. For those people that are watching this episode or this series for the first time, my name is Ram Hotep L. I'll be your master of ceremony, broadcasting on behalf of the number 13 SignsAstrology.com. On this channel, what we do is that we keep people informed on the news. We keep people informed on what's going on in the universe and in the cosmos, and how what's going on in the universe and the cosmos is going to affect you. We talk about information pertaining to star seeds. We talk about information that will help people that may have just start coming to this planet and that know that there's something different about them and know that there's some form of a higher being or some form of a cosmic being, but they just don't know how to take their difference, the thing that's different and the thing that distinguishes them. They don't know how to apply that in this particular modern society. So what we do is that we help to facilitate and we help to make this planet and this place a better place for these new beings that are walking the earth, because there's many of us out here. I have the type of people that watch this channel and the type of fans that don't really like making themselves known, because this information is so different. And when you get into this information, people at your church may laugh at you and say you're not even laugh at you, but may look down on you. They may cry for you and say you've sold your soul and you worshiping the devil and things of that nature. It's nothing wrong with watching this particular information and still going to church. I have plenty of fans that go to church. There's nothing wrong with that. So just kind of wanted to point that out for people that are new watching the channel. This information is my opinions and my views based on my 10 years plus of research of studying different occult topics. But not only that, we have many people that have done this, but the thing that distinguishes me and makes me different is the fact that was kind of young getting into this information. I was essentially in my actually in my teens when I first got into supreme wisdom type information, but I was even in my early 20s when I got into studying about metaphysics, and I'm talking about deeply looking into this type of information. So what makes this channel different is that you're hearing it from a perspective of someone that is young, and I have a lot of people that are close to my age, and I've done a lot of the stuff that people do in the streets, and I still do stuff that people have done. So it's nothing different about me. I mean, I walk the streets, I go into the supermarket and do the same stuff that everybody else does. So definitely not hard to find. Not far removed from this matrix and the cares of this world at all. So I just want to kind of point that out and make that known. On this particular episode, I'm going to talk about the war that's been going on, and why it's going on, and your place in it, and how you can survive. Now, this war that's going on is being caused by, of course, it's being caused by a cosmic event in the universe. And this cosmic event in the universe is a particular transit that's going on right now. This transit that's going on right now is the Pluto square Uranus transit. And this square is creating an occult war, because that's what it really truly is. Some people say it's a silent war. Some people, we call it the Cold War or the Second Cold War. Or we have all these different names, but at the end of the day, this is an occult war. And it's a deep occult war, because this war was destined to break out. I mean, this is the Armageddon. This is the apocalypse. This is the war that these great ones were waiting for all of this time. And a lot of people wrote about this war and prophesied about this war. And, this is the time when the Christ was supposed to come back. It is and has came back already. And the thing is that that's why I came up with this channel right when the war was breaking out. Really, this channel kind of came up right around that time. Right when the war broke out, that's when this channel came out. The war actually broke out really a couple years before this channel came out, but a lot of people came out teaching during this time. One person I noticed in particular was a female that really brought in a lot of the feminine energy. What I think is sister on YouTube. Her name is Sister Makalesi. Shout out to her. And Spoke with her a couple times privately, but I'm just sending a shout out to her because she really started teaching. Because this is all supposed to be all about bringing and ushering in the feminine energy. That's really what this war is about. And I'm going to break down what that's even really about, because a lot of people think that's some homo type shit. And I know I've been talking about that a lot, about how, I've already kind of addressed the fact that the feminine energy is not quiet, calm, and passive and all of that. But I kind of want to hit that point one more time. Because, I get the emails and I'm in the consultations, and it's really a lot of the women, and they feel like, this feminine energy means that men are supposed to submit to women, and it's not in a man's nature to even want to submit to a woman. Not in that respect. Men don't submit. Men don't submit. And really, that whole submitting thing comes from religion, because they say, well, a woman's supposed to submit to a man, and they teach that in religion, and we don't submit. Human beings shouldn't submit to anything. We should respect one another, and we should love one another. And that's the highest thing. So all of this submitting to, and I'm walking behind you, and you speak for me. Nah, we all speak for ourselves. That's not what the feminine energy is about at all. And if you're thinking that's what it's about, then you're mistaken. That's not what you need to study. Yin-based energy. So, first of all, it's this Pluto square Uranus thing that's causing the war. This has been going on since 2012. And this is a key part of the war. There's 3 components that is used when you talk about going to war. And when you talk about an occult war, there's 3 components that occultists use. And a lot of them, they might not even realize they're using this. But they can't get around astrology, because astrology is the mother of the occult and the mother of metaphysics. When you talk about the feminine energy, astrology is the feminine energy. This is why astrology had to be taught in this new paradigm, because of the fact that astrology represents that feminine principle, that feminine energy. So they don't even understand this. These people that are fighting this war, a lot of these groups that are involved in this war, it's like a rapture, really. Because a lot of people don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. They're just going out and doing it. There's really no explanation behind it, and they're being made or almost being possessed into. A lot of people are being possessed into fighting this war, and a lot of people are being possessed into doing things in this time period that they don't understand, even amongst themselves, or even in their own personal space and in their own comfort zone. They're like, why am I doing this now? I just started doing this. Like, say for instance, you may have just got an interest to want to be a vegetarian, and years before that you've been eating meat for all your life, and all of a sudden now you want to become a vegetarian. Or you may have this thing now to where you want to abstain from spilling semen. You've been spilling semen all your life, but then all of a sudden now you want to abstain from doing that. And that's because of this time we're in, this energy we're in, and you feel it and you're connected to it, but you just don't understand it. So this is what myself and others out there are doing, is here to inform you. Shout out to Cyrus King, a lot of people out there that teach this type of stuff, that are here to inform you and to update you on what's going on right now in the universe. So they use these 3 elements, and the elements that they use to fight occult wars is, they don't use, like, people think about a war, they automatically think about people busting your house and guns and all of that. But this is a war, you got to remember, this war is being fought by 2 ET groups. And if you don't want to identify with the whole ET group thing, and it's really even more than that, it's more than 2 groups, but there's 2 primary sides, of course. There's this side and there's that side. And that's really essentially is coming down to, there's darkness and there's light. And that's what this war is about. This is the war to determine as to whether or not the darkness will overcome the light. And I'm here to tell you right now that this cycle and this energy that we're in is going to be ruled by the darkness and the dark lords. And that's already a given. But the thing is that, I know you're like, hold up, but I thought you said this is the time of the light worker and blah, blah, blah. No, I said this is the time of the light worker and the dark worker. Because of the fact that I know for a fact, based on nature, and based on where we're at right now, that this cycle is going to be ruled by the Dark Lords. Reason being is because I know I want to go into the three powers and the three things that they use to fight this war, but I need to talk about this point. The reason why the Dark Lords and the Dark Workers are going to win this cycle is because of the fact that, like I said, we're in what's called the new sun. We've just entered into the sixth sun. The sixth sun. So when you enter into a new sun, that means you enter into a new day. That's what you have to realize. It means you enter into a new day. And it's taught by all higher up mystics and the ancients and all those metaphysical scientists out there know that a day starts in what's called shadow period or shadow hour. Say for instance you're a Jew and you partake in the Shabbat or the Sabbath. The Sabbath starts when the sun sets completely. This is when the Sabbath day starts. When the sun sets completely. So this is very important. So being as though we're in a whole new cycle, we're up under a new sun. The sun rises in the east. Remember that. The sun rises in the east. So basically what I'm saying here is that even though we're in a new day, the new day starts at night. It starts in the dark. It starts at nighttime. Very important. So what I'm saying here is that the darkness rules during this particular cycle. It's not the light. It's not the light that rules, but it's the light that's unique. It's the light that distinguishes or sets things apart. Because the darkness, when it's dark and it's a blanket of darkness over a particular area, everything is even and equal. You can't see anything. So the light, what the light does is that it distinguishes. It helps us to see this from that. And since we're in the sixth sun, even though we say it's the sixth sun, you automatically think it's light outside. When you think about the sixth sun, remember, when the sun is rising, it's usually dark somewhere else. So even though the sun is rising in 4D, but we're still in this density and we're in this body. We may experience 4D when we go to sleep. And it's a new day in the fourth dimension. This is why you're getting so many premonitions. It's just like in the east. Like if you're in the west and the sun sets and it gets dark in the west, it's rising somewhere else, right? It's a new day somewhere else, but it's dark where you're at. That's what you have to realize. So we're in the western hemisphere of reality, which means that we're located in the physical body, shell aspect of reality. But in the 4D state and in the 4D world, the sun is rising. So things are becoming more clear in your dreams and in the 4D world. But then here in the 3D world, in the physical world, people are asleep. So Satuk is now in rulership. Heru is now in rulership. Anubis is now in rulership. Nefertim, I got to do videos on the dark deities, is now in rulership. Osiris is now in rulership. These are the deities of the night. And there's a reason why I call them that. They're on the dark side. So you have a dark side deities and then you have light side deities. I have to do a video on that. But we're in the dark now, here in the physical world. And this is what you have to realize. So we're in the beginning and a war had to break out. The reason why a war had to break out is because of the fact that people didn't want to, a lot of people don't want to see this new energy come in. And it's not that they don't want to see this energy come in like it's like some hater stuff, like some basic hater stuff, because it's deeper than that. It's not some basic hater stuff here. This is some deep hater type of stuff. This is some hater stuff like to where it's a group of beings that are still on this planet that came from the old cycle, and they know that it's time for them to leave. And they know that the new energy won't accept them. So what they have to do is that they have to try to shift the new energy so that they can stay here on the planet. They have to try to keep the planet in the old cycle and the old energy, or bring the old shit from the old cycle into the new energy so they can repel or push off the light bringers, or those particular people that are bringing information from 4D to this reality so they can build on this reality. So you have a group of people doing that. These are haters, and this is why the war had to break out. And it's different tiers. See, on a deep level, these ETs that are fighting, I'm going to go back to my original point, they're energy sources. They're energy forces. When I talk about extraterrestrials, I'm talking about energy forces here. I'm not talking about, yeah, I could be talking about beings in shells. I could be talking about a Deros. I could be talking about a Pteros. I could be talking about a reptilian. I could be talking about an insectilian. I could be talking about a Rumartian or Gray. I could be talking about those are exact species of people or of beings, excuse me. But on a higher level, extraterrestrials are controlled by energy forces. Some celestial, some archonic. Some depending on, some of them are terrestrial forces that control extraterrestrials, some of them are celestial forces that control extraterrestrials. So we are in a time period like that right now, where the dark and the light are going to war. And two energy sources, the energy sources that are represented by the light, which is the celestial energy forces, are going to war with those particular energy forces that are represented by the dark. And those are the two groups. And within that, and those are the two energy sources. And each energy source is choosing different beings and species to side with it. So that's what the war is about right now. And there's different occult forces that are being used. Now you need to understand this part, because you want to understand this war. Because this is a different war. World War III, or whatever you want to call it, is different from any war that's ever been fought. You never will probably ever see a war fought like this until this time period comes again, when we go into the seventh sun. You probably never have, and you never will. Because even all those other wars were a build up to this war. See, this war is deeper than dropping bombs. And they use three forces that are based and predicated upon the occult planets. So this is all still astrologically based information I'm giving you. And the occult planets are Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, and there's others, but I'm not going to really go into the others right now, because these are the ones that, the main planets that they're using. And they're using, so now you got Pluto, Uranus squaring each other. This is going to be playing out all the way up until 2018 almost, beloved. This particular part of the war. And I'll break down what's going on with this war. So they use three energies. Let me break that down first. They use electricity, which is associated with Uranus. Electricity will be used to fight this war. They use explosive and occult energy to fight this war. So we're talking about nuclear technology, Kundalini technology. Yes, they have Kundalini technology. Etheric technology. Dark matter type of technology. All this technology is used and associated with Pluto. And then lastly, they use Neptune, which goes into using technology that links into your psyche, using telepathic technology, using technology that is based on intuitive powers. So this is the Neptune type of energy that's being used. And what's happening in this war is that you got the Pluto square Uranus, and every time one of those planets goes retrograde, we go into different phases of this war. It's just like this year, Pluto's going to go retrograde. I'm not sure when. I'll look it up and I'll do a video on it. And Uranus is going to go retrograde, usually towards the end of the year when this happens, usually towards the summer when Pluto goes retrograde. So when they go retrograde, this represents different aspects of the war. But right now, Pluto and Uranus are the leaders. And what's happening is that the people are using the powers of Uranus to try to dethrone those particular people that were in power in the old cycle, that are, some of them are still fighting for power. And the people are using electrical powers to fight this war. They're using Uranus, uranium type of energy to fight this war. So they're using electricity. So what do I mean by that? So what the people have done since those particular people that are ruled by Pluto, they use a secret. Remember I told you Pluto represents all kind of energy. So they're using money, amongst other things. They're not just using money. If they have to use nuclear weapons, they'll do that. They'll eventually get to that point. But they're using money, which is one of the main energy sources, and sex, to stay in control of the people. Money and sex. Because religion is not really seeming to work as much as it used to. So they have to use money and sex to keep control of the people. And the people are using, to combat that, the people are tapping into Uranus. They're tapping into the power of the computer, the power of electronics. And you got a group of people that really, they don't know, these people that are tapping into that power, they're being used by a higher extraterrestrial force to win. Because really, like I said, the people have nothing to do with this war. But we being used as guinea pigs. That's the thing. Like the people, the only thing we have to do is that allow the new energy to come in. But instead of allowing the new energy to come in, we're deciding to fight each other. And we're both being used, and it's causing families to break up and everything. We're being used by these higher forces. So the people, they're using what they have, which is electronics. Because they like, we don't have a lot of money, but we could use electricity and computers and stuff, and we could hack in and take stuff from people. So this is why all this hacking stuff has just started coming out. You wasn't seeing these stories breaking about hacks, people's debit cards getting compromised, and people getting hacked before the world ended. Which for those people that didn't watch that video that I did on the new Sixth Sun, and I talked about the end of the world, I gave you the date that the world ended, which was December the 23rd, 2012. You didn't see that going on prior to that date too much. You didn't see too much. I mean, of course, we always had hackers. We always have had that. We had WikiLeaks. I understand that. But I'm saying you didn't see the level that this hacking is being done on, where Yahoo talking about they lost all their passwords to every account was compromised. What the hell is going on? You got Target talking about they lost 200 million debit cards numbers. People with different debit cards was hacked into. What's going on? This let you know that there's a higher ET force behind this, and they're employing the people and getting them to hack. Actually, that stuff that's going on in the Ukraine has a lot to do with hacking and money and economics. So you got that group. You got that hacker group that's basically being used by this higher group of beings that are using electricity to fight those particular beings that are using energy, secret type of energy like plutonium and kundalini energy, the sexual energy to control things. So, and this is the Pluto square Uranus energy that's going on. And you might be wondering, so who, I mean, you're being very vague. So like, who exactly are these people? Are these people in the Illuminati or what? Well, the Illuminati is involved in this war too. Different groups with the Illuminati are fighting. This is why the people are fighting too, because you have different Illuminati groups that are fighting right now. You have groups in the Illuminati that are being controlled by third parties right now. So what I mean by that is that, say for instance, we know that the Bilderberg Society is one of the groups that supposedly the Illuminati uses to control the world. We have groups of people that are trying to come in and overthrow the old people that run the Bilderberg Society. That's what's going on with that. So, say for instance, some people say that the Illuminati, you may deal with the Illuminati and you look at the Illuminati like it's the Masons. You say, well, the Masons, that's the Illuminati. Because some people, they look at the Masons like they're the Illuminati. You know, me, Ram Hotep, I look at the Illuminati on a whole different level. So this is not me. I'm trying to help other people out there. So you may say, well, it's the Masons controlling everything. Well, you got a group of people that's coming into the Masonic Lodge and taking over the Masonic Lodge so they can control that. A third part. So this is what's going on. So you can't even really just look at a group and point to a group anymore. It's gotten even deeper than that now. Because a lot of the groups have been taken over and compromised. And the people that's ruling the world right now, the real rulers, they're not even involved in a group. The people that's really on top of everything. The people that's on top of everything are working directly with extraterrestrial groups. And these are just basically these people that are working directly with these extraterrestrial groups are nationals. Because it was taught by one of our patriarchs that nationality would be the order of the day. So these third-party groups are losing power even. And the power of the Illuminati, the real Illuminati powers, are shifting and moving into nationhood again. And they're leaving the third-party thing behind. So that's one aspect. So the war is being fought. You notice it's being fought on so many levels, so many different tiers. So this is what they're using. So they're using, when I say they, this group of nationals are really more so represented by Pluto. And these third-party groups, these corporations and all of that, they're represented by Uranus, because they need electricity to keep going. They need debit cards to keep going, because they need you to keep swiping that debit card to keep their monies coming in. That's what they need to continue going. They don't really have a lot of resources. And don't get me wrong, the Illuminati uses electricity, and they'll take money, electric money, which is really credits. You understand it. That's what electronic money or electrical money, money that's based in electricity, is really credits. And they'll use that. Don't get me wrong, the Illuminati will use that. But what they're really into is that they have a whole nother economy and a whole nother system. They have paper money, and they have their hands on paper money. And they're more so interested in controlling tangible resources like gold, things that you could put your hand on. So they use that as like a game and keep you caught up in the game. Meanwhile, they're running, they have another economy, a resource-based economy that they keep control over. And they've took that from the people. So the beings that are responsible for using and running this electric war, they have to recruit the people, and they're using the people. And they're making the people think. See, this is what you got to realize. All this is an illusion. And I know this is kind of hard to follow, but just follow it and let it sink in and you'll understand it. But really, again, the people don't have to fight on any side. People don't have to fight a war. We could just accept the new energy and the new changes came in and deal with it on the level and the way that we understand it, instead of getting caught up in the wars and the fights. But see, you got a group of people in the old world that they really are supposed to be in this world, in this new energy, because they did some things in the old world to where they're supposed to be terminated. They're supposed to be X'd out. And they're trying to stay around, and they're trying to hang around. And they're trying to keep their games up. And they're trying to use young people, use other people's energy to exist and to stay in power. And they're trying to set up these wars so that they can prolong their power. Because war is the only way that this group that I'm talking about, this is the only way that they can stay in power, is through fighting. They need war to keep going on so they can keep their throne or the false illusion of power that they have. So it's deep what's going on. And the other power that they use, and which comes into play at all times, is Neptune. See, Neptune comes into play at all times because Neptune deals with, it's an occult force and power that they use to remote view on people. This is the planet that they use to create virtual realities in people's lives, and create scenarios in people's lives where it's totally being controlled by extraterrestrial force. Because you have to understand, a lot of people are getting caught up in this virtual reality aspect of this war too. And that's just to distract you and to take your energy. And what a virtual reality is that, I've explained this on other videos, that this is when an extraterrestrial puts you into almost like a time warp or a time bubble. And everything that's happening to you, you're locked into this bubble, in this shell. You have no way of getting out of it, because you don't understand the group that's putting you in it. And they do this through Neptune. See, the only way to get out of it is to understand the powers of Neptune and to be able to pierce that power. So the powers of Neptune deal with psychometry, all of the higher powers that I tell you about. Your intuition, your clairaudience, your clairvoyance. All of this is based on the powers of Neptune. So they're using that. They're using Neptune and playing tricks on a person's psyche in this war as well too. So both sides are doing this, because Neptune is neutral. See, one side is more so represented by Pluto. I told you there were three powers that they're using, which is Neptune power, Pluto power, and Uranus power. But one side is represented by Pluto, so they're on the side of Pluto. But then they tap into the Neptune power. Another side is on Uranus' side, but they're tapping into the powers of Neptune as well. Because Neptune is neutral. Neptune is not caught up in the transits of the outer planets right now. So Neptune is neutral, so both sides have access based on the planets now. I'm not making this stuff up. You got to remember, I get this information from looking at natal charts and then watching the events that go on around me. This is how I get this information. This is where my information, everybody always asks, where does your information come from? This is where it comes from. And it's accurate if you follow it, if you understand astrology just a little bit about it. It can be very accurate because everybody's involved in this war. It's just about where it's at in your chart, your particular natal chart. So if Pluto, say for instance, is in your first house and Uranus is in your third house, the war is playing out one way. Because some people have that. Some people Uranus may be in their sixth house and the powers of Pluto may be in their fourth house. That particular person in war will be playing out one way for you or another way for you. So it's playing out in different areas. You have to understand the houses to understand how the war is playing out for you. You have to understand where Uranus is. Uranus is somewhere like right now it's in somewhere like about 13 degrees Pisces, I believe. Pluto is like in 13 degrees Sagittarius. So they're squaring each other somewhere around there. I don't have the exact figures or the exact numbers. I'll post them on this video in the notes when I get time because I'm totally channeling this video, so I didn't take any notes or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure I'm about maybe 3-4 degrees off at the most. So you want to look into that part of your natal chart and see which house Pluto is in, which house Uranus is in. And then that'll tell you how this war is playing out for you. This war may be playing out for you at work. This war may be playing out for you in your family. This war may be playing out for you in the dream world. This war may be playing out for you in the banking arena. So there's different levels on how this war is playing out. And another thing I want to hit on, another point I want to hit on pertaining to this war, and I'll go ahead and shut the video down, and something that you guys need to understand is that this war is all about bringing in the feminine energy. That's what it's all about. And I understand that. But the thing is that that's being misinterpreted. To understand the feminine energy, you have to understand nature. That's all you got to understand. Everything in nature is predicated upon the feminine energy. The violent aspect of nature, as well as the more calm and subtle aspect of nature. All of this is based upon the feminine energy. And what's happening is that you have, and I know I talked about this on the last video, but I'm kind of still going into it because it's still going on, is that you have, because a lot of this doesn't have to happen. This is why I'm really pointing this out. You have a group of females that are getting caught up into a particular aspect of this energy, and they're getting caught up into the beehive. This is what I call it, the beehive mentality, and the beehive aspect of this energy. And I know a lot of people are like, beehive, what you talking about, Beyonce? That's B. She the one came up with that beehive stuff. You talking about her? I'm not. Beyonce, if she's talking about that, she's basically being used by this energy as well. And before I make this point, I want to say this. I'm not knocking anyone. I'm simply pointing something out because I have to help. And my job is, as a Melchizedek, as a Tahuti, is to come and help. And I help people by grabbing their hand and walking them out of the path that they're on and walking them onto another path. So in order for me to do that, I have to come on one side and talk on that side, then I go into another side and talk on that side. So essentially I don't have a side. I don't have a team. I'm not caught up in this war. Why? Because I understand it. So I'm totally not caught up in this war. I only fight to protect my personal interests. And if I have to fight on the side, it's the side that's basically protecting my personal interests, which is the side of the nationals. So naturally, I'm a national. So naturally, I'm fighting for the earth. Nationals, we deal with earth. When you understand natal, like a natal chart, you understand the term natal, this goes into what part of the earth you're indigenous from. This calculates your earth measures, if you will. Your body comes from the earth. So when I say I'm a national, I'm honoring my mother by saying that. The Bible says, honor your mother and your father so your days will be long upon the earth, which the Lord thy God has given thee. Something to that effect. So I honor my ancestors by honoring my nationality. I'm not going to call myself an interest group or identify with that, because that's not identifying with what my mother was and what my ancestors were. This is why we honor nationality. So if I was to choose a side, I'm on the side of nationals. However, I understand that even some of the nationals are caught up into this war. And some of the people that may identify with the same nationality that I identify with, they may be caught up into this war. So at the end of the day, I'm still honoring my own personal energy and myself being a law and a master in and of myself. So I represent myself. So I don't represent any interest group. Before I make this point about women, I needed to really break that down, because a lot of people, they're trying to put me on sides because I come up and make videos. But you gotta remember, I make videos and simply share my opinions and views. You're not gonna get me to come on anyone's side. I'm on the side of righteousness. And if you're on that side, then I'm on your side, buddy. So you have this group of women that are being used and being made to believe that they're fit to be in all of this power because they're caught up in the beehive mentality. And this group of women, they're bees. And I'm not calling them bees like bitches, because if I was calling them that, I would just say it. I'm just being honest. I'm using literally bees, like bumblebees, you know. You know, this is a shortage of bees right now, but it's a whole other story. That's a part of the war too. But these women, what does a bee do? The queen bee uses a type of a male that's called a drone. I believe he's called a drone. And this drone, or this male bee, is only used for mating and for sex. And basically the mother bee has sex with the drone, or the queen bee has sex with the drone. It gets enough baby bees, whatever they call baby bees, I forgot the name of them. There's scientific names for all of this, but they get enough of the baby bees and produces enough baby bees, and they kill the male. They turn around and they kill the male. Some people call this the widow spider mentality. I call it the beehive mentality. Yeah, they kill their males after mating. And a lot of insects do this in nature. Notice it's the insects that do this. So what I'm saying is that a lot of women are getting caught up under these insectillions, these females that are insectillions, these Andromedan females. And I know you're saying, well, you caught up under them, because you said you was with them, Ram Hotep. Yeah, we got you. You caught up under them too. Well, I work with them. I understand them, but again, I don't take sides. I simply side with righteousness. So I partner with people. I make a pact with a group of beings only if I know that the side that I represent, which is the side of the people and freeing their minds and giving them knowledge. Like I said, I'm Maurice, I'm Morpheus. So I'm freeing people's minds and giving them knowledge. Teaching the youth, which is the Neo. The youth is the Neo. That's the Neo. See, I'm here to teach. Really, my mission hasn't even started yet, because I'm here for the unborn. I'm here to teach the rainbows and those children that was born after December 23rd, 2012. That's really the group that I'm here for. What I'm going to be doing, what I'm working on doing with the Starseed movement is for them. That's why I'm not really worried about how much time it's taking. People are like, you're taking so much time. You probably might not be the one. If you're the one, you'll be around when it happens. It's going to happen. People didn't think I would make it this far. It's going to happen. Don't worry about that. So you can doubt me all you want. How you going to do it? You're a one-man show. You ain't really got nobody helping you on your website. You do everything yourself. You're never going to get this done, because you don't understand who I represent, this new energy, which I'm going to get to in a second. And this whole Andromeda thing, I'm going to clear that up for you too. So yeah, they're insects that's behind it. But what the Andromeda females don't know is, see, I found out something interesting about the Andromedans. And I find out that they do have a male that rule, and I'm not going to say rule over them, but that sits on the council with them. They have a wizard. The Andromedans do. There is a male that's present. And this is the thing that what a lot of women don't realize, is you're not going to kill off all the males. That's where I'm getting at. This beehive mentality, or these group of females that caught up in this beehive thing, they want to go around and they want to kill off all the males, and they're possessed totally. So they can basically take over the structure of inheritance which is what they're trying to do. And I'll do a whole video on that when I talk about sacrifice. I'm going to talk about that. And I have it planned when I'm going to do the sacrifice video, so don't worry. Not just selling wolf tickets, but not now. But they want to take over all the inheritances, so they want to kill off all the males. I know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on. So this is a group of insects. So all women aren't doing this, but this is a group of women that are up under control of these andromedans on different levels. Remember I told you andromedans have ranks and tiers too. There's a group, remember I told you the ones that rule the insects is a group of sovereign human looking group of females that left this planet a long time ago and went to Andromeda and took over the Andromeda star constellation, waged war, and took over that constellation. Watch my video on the Andromedas for more information. However, there's another group, or really it's only one male really, that has been there before them. This is the old man of the group, and they need him to continue on. And they understand this, and they're okay with it. But the thing is that a lot of women that's been working with these Andromedas, a lot of women start working with them now. Especially since the information has been coming back out. A lot of women are channeling Andromeda. They don't even realize it. They're getting into this voodoo and stuff, and really it's the Andromedas leading you into this. And they're learning how to do these sacrifices, and they're getting into the daughters of best and these different occult orders, and they're learning how to do all these different rituals and sacrifices, and put spells, tantric spells on men, and using sex and all this stuff to control men and to take over and to dethrone these men. But they don't realize that it's a male, that a lot of wise, if you're wise, and for the wise males, they're not going to be eliminated and eradicated. We're going to make it into the feminine energy. The Tahuti type of male will be the male that's going to make it. I've already talked about this. And that's what I represent. So when I say that they're not going to be able to get me, it's because of the fact that I represent the Tahuti type of male. And you'll never get the Tahuti type of male in this new energy, because that's the male. See, Tahuti was in Lemuria. He was there. He's an immortal. He's been through all the cycles. You're not going to even get the Heru type of male. You're not even going to get the Satuk type of male. You're not going to get the deity, the dark deities, or the deities of the night, is what I'm talking about. You'll only get those deities on the light side, or those males that's caught up in sunlight or religion, because in religion they worship the sun. So all the solar deities are based upon religion. So you'll get those guys. You say, well, we'll get Ra. Ra's a solar deity. Yeah, but there's that moon Ra. There's a Tun Ray. There's a Tun Ray. There's 3 different rays, and one of them is the ray of the night. The dark ray. Yeah, even Ray has a dark counterpart. Some of the deities won't and don't, and I have to do a whole video talking about the light deity. Like Ta, he's a solar, he's a light deity. So he's a lunar deity. So he can exist in this particular cycle. So the males that are smart and they know how to identify and characterize them and pattern themselves after the dark deities will make it. This is something that you must understand, men, in Mars retrograde. You must understand this. So I'm not playing battle with the sexes. I'm just trying to help people not to get caught up in this energy, period. So if you're a female, your interest is to take over people through this energy, that's fine. Keep doing what you're doing. But my interest is to meet people where they're at and to guide them. Just like I helped out a group of females by telling them that there's a group of females out there that's tied into the beehive. Some women found themselves with that information. Some women embraced that information. And they're like, that's who they are. And that's okay if that's who you are by nature. Remember I said study nature, and that's what the feminine principle is about. That you'll understand the feminine energy once you understand the feminine principle. Yeah, when a lion is in a family, and when this lion is in a family, or he has cubs or pride that he's a part of, then yeah, he'll I guess you could say, like, the female lion goes out and does the hunting. He sits at home and watches the cubs and things of that nature. But then there's another lion that doesn't have a family or a pride or whatever. He's a nomad. And he goes around and teaches. If he's an elder and he doesn't have a family, he's a nomad. He goes around and he teaches the other cubs on how to be better, or to teach the baby male lions, and teaches them how to be big, strong lions and the king of the jungle. So the lion is called the king of the jungle because I understand it's not because he rules over the other lions. It's because he's the biggest. This is why he's called the king of the jungle, because his presence, he's domineering by his very presence. This is why he's called the king of the jungle. So I'm saying that to say that there's a place for the masculine energy, or the patriarchal not really the patriarchal energy, but more so the masculine energy in this feminine paradigm. It's about choosing that part of nature that you identify with most and tracing yourself back to that. So if you identify with insects, you have to figure out first, do you identify with reptilians? Do you identify with amphibians, mammalians? Finding that part of nature. Do you identify with atoms, energy, pure energy? You want to be like pure energy and start to study everything that there is to know about whatever you choose to identify with and become that. But you have to find something in nature though. See, what's happening is that the artificial is breaking down and melting away. The fictitious corporation, the fictitious president is being replaced by the emperor. And people hate it. They hate it because they don't want to see the fictions go anywhere. You want see a corporation represents a fiction. This is why corporations aren't making it. Black people represent a fiction. I gotta do a whole video on this. They don't even have the 14th Amendment anymore. They're getting rid of the 14th Amendment because it wasn't fully ratified. And you're like, what's that got to do with all of this stuff that you're talking about? It has everything to do with it. They got rid of it right when the world ended. In February 2013, they got rid of it. The world ended in December of 2012. So 3 months later, no 14th Amendment. Why? Because corporations are fictitious. The law of the land is the highest law. Land mandates is the highest rule of the land. So that's what this war is about. So you notice there's many levels to it. It's an economic war on one level based on fiat notes and currency or things. Gold, silver, platinum, oil, actual things that if you had enough of, you can produce your own currency if you have enough of these things. So that's the war. Like a lot of people, they don't want to go back to the gold standard. They don't want to go back to that. So this is why people are fighting, because the longer the war goes on, the longer they can stay alive. A lot of people are depending on this war to play out so that they can stay alive. So you're putting the elites in power by fighting their war. And a lot of people that watch my videos, I know you're fighting their war. Because the fact I can read your comments and tell you're still talking about violence and killing people and all of this stuff. And I understand that the feminine principle is violent. I understand that. But when you're the aggressor and you're not defending, then you're putting yourself on the wrong side of universal law. Because if you want to become the highest human that you could become, I told you to study the animals, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you go around and you eat the same stuff that these animals eat. You go around and you slaughter animals and you slaughter pigs and you slaughter cows so you can eat these cows. That type of stuff is going out because humans, you may have to pattern yourself after your animal figure, but that doesn't mean you have to eat like them. We're supposed to be higher than that as humans. So we're supposed to be eating a vegetarian-based diet. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that. And they're like, you making vegetarianism to a religion. If eating meat is your thing and you are healthy in that, that's totally fine. And you don't feel like you're out of order with universal law, that's totally fine. But I know the highest group of beings are beings that eat from the vegetation of the planet. Why? Because the vegetation of the planet, the seaweed was here before anything. The chlorella and the seaweed and all that stuff, that's been here. Millions upon millions of years we had seaweed. So I would rather eat from the original creation of this planet versus the grafted versions of this planet. I was watching one of my videos earlier, and I'm going to make this point, and I'm going to have to go ahead and shut down because I have a lot to do. I'm getting ready for spring equinox ritual. So, but I will be making this a public ritual, universe willing. Put it that way. It's my plan though. But I was watching one of my videos, and when I was talking about hair, I have yet to do the video on hair, but a person had made a point about lion's hair and how lion's hair is straight. It grows straight out. So it's saying, what are you trying to say? The lion's hair grows straight out, so you're trying to say it's not natural. And my point to that person is that, for one thing, lion's hair is cloned. Why? Because 90% of the planets, or I'm sorry, 90% of the animals on this planet were clones, or are clones. So when you start talking about a lion's hair, you're dealing with a graftation. Because a lion is cloned from what some people would call a saber-toothed tiger, but it goes back even further than that. This goes back into the animals came from Sirius. And those particular animals that they came from, their hair were curly. They had curly hair. Their hair grew in curls. Anytime hair starts to grow straight out, this represents that it's a derivative from another species. You know this. So yeah, a lion's hair may grow straight out, but that doesn't necessarily make that lion natural. And my point that I'm bringing up a lion, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because of the fact that nothing on this planet is original outside of the plant life. The plant life is some of the most, and even some of that was transported from other planets. Mostly everything that you see on this planet was transported. This is a virtual reality. It was made to be this way. This is what people have to realize. So nothing on this planet is original. Everything is a gravitation from various other species, no matter how far you trace something back. It's always going to end up saying, well, this came from that came from this, because just like the Bible says, there's nothing new up under the sun. So I say that the highest beings on this planet will eat from the vegetation, will eat from sea life, which is will eat from plant life that comes from the seas, because you get the most nutrients from plants that grow underwater. Your body is made of 90% water, not 90% cow. So I would rather eat of something that grows up under the natural environment that my body is based on. And that's my point on that. So that's what this war is about. It's about, like, which are you going to shift into your higher self? This war could go on for the remainder of our generation. We really don't know how long this war is going to go on, because it's a recurrent war, and it's never going to stop until humans decide to just embrace the energy and to move on. And this is why I make these videos, because we need a paradigm. See, people can't embrace the energy because they don't understand the energy. So this is why I have to continue to keep making videos, because we don't understand what's going on. We need to constantly be reminded about what's going on, or we'll easily go back into the old world. But that's not meant to happen. That's why you have people like me here letting you know and updating everything. Because until everything is updated and people understand how to deal in this energy, we'll continue to keep playing out this war. And this old cycle is like a broken record. We got to stay in war just so we can keep everything the same. Because people don't want things to change, or these political figures and people that basically are done and that are dead spiritually and economically, and instead of just passing on what little they have to the next generation so that we can further things and save the planet, they don't care about saving the planet. You know what they care about? They want to be here. They're caught up in their own ego. They want to see what happens next. You've been on this planet for 70 years and you've been an asshole for 70 years, but then you want to stay here for another 70. People are pathetic. People are really pathetic. But so either what will end this war, and I'll go ahead and say this and I'll shut the video down, is that people will stop fighting and figure out their role and just embrace the new energy, which is going to be hard for people to do. The war will continue, because I'm just letting you guys know the war will continue because of the fact that the natal charts says that Pluto square Uranus will continue on up until 2018. So the war is going to go on at least for another couple of years. But how it will end, it can end when humans are still here, or the elites are going to get their wish and 90% of the population is going to get wiped out. And they're going to win, because that's what's going to determine as to whether or not these ET groups win. They want the surface of the planet back. And what will determine as to whether or not they're going to get it back is how many people are left once this war is over, which will be somewhere between the years of 2018 and 2020. So if humans are to be successful in this war, that will be based upon how many humans are here once the smoke clears. So I hope you learned something from this video. I'm going to leave you as I came, in peace, Hotep, Wadu, and Namaste.